and only Cody Davis on. So yeah, we're gonna dig into some of his videos that he does weekly. He is also streaming right now, so definitely go check out his channel, subscribe, leave some comments. But how was your weekend, man? How you been?
It's a good weekend. I got to relax, so that was nice. Only had a few property issues. I'm still pushing forward with the evictions. So I have three going on right now, and so that's $9,000 down the drain. But it is what it is.
Three evictions. All right, we can dig into that after. But like I said, you put out two videos every week normally, Tuesday and Thursday.
Mhm.
But definitely, yeah. This past week, I did want to dig into one, especially it says how to win in an overbuilt market. Right, was your video, I believe, on Tuesday. So let's kind of talk about. You talked about rents, new builds. But what was that video all about?
Well, it was just about priorities. And in Washington State, for those who don't know, there's rent control on properties that are older than 12 years. So my properties I'm talking about, the overbuilt sector is younger than 12 years. So there's no rent control on my portfolio that I was talking about there. So what I was saying is prioritize occupancy levels over max rent. Because if the market does pop again in the future or it starts to gradually go up, I'm not going to be limited by that rent control that's currently in place. So that was the topic. It's just get it full, get rent coming in. If you got to cut your rent $100, $150, do it. It's better than being empty.
I think in that video also you mentioned though you notice your older things were still leasing fairly quickly or fairly well, right?
Yeah, they are. So the old stuff does lease up pretty quick. There's a lot of interest on it because nobody's building anything like it. How do you build? So this is the whole point of buying below replacement cost, which is how I built my whole business. It was one of the most important metrics when I was getting started. And if I was starting again, it would be again, if you buy below replacement cost, people cannot build a competing product and rent it for the same price as you. So that was the whole point of where I was getting started. No one can build a competitive product at a competitive price to what I own for the bulk of my portfolio right now.
Interesting. I do want to say good morning to All Nighter Hider, James Hillis, Yasik. Hyder also attended the Jason Hartman event this weekend where Zuber spoke at, and he said it was a great event. And I know, Cody, you started doing some self-managing some of your units. Hyder said there was an interesting kind of I don't know. I don't want to say if it was an argument or it was kind of a back and forth with someone that was in the audience and Jason Hartman's mom, I believe. I guess. I guess Hartman is kind of in that path of self-managing and things, and then I guess one of the people attending who is a property manager was kind of like, "Oh, hold up, why are we bashing property managers so much?" And there kind of was this little incident going on. Hyder said so. He definitely said it was a good event, but there was only about 100 people there. So even Jason Hartman was like, "Well, it looks like a lot of people are scared of real estate right now, or it's kind of people are sitting on the sidelines." So I do see Brady tuning in. He says new bills get higher rent and lower expenses. So that's kind of also your thought process too, right?
That's what I'd like to push to, but also they get hit harder than the older properties. Like the rents on the older properties have not pulled back as much as they have on the new.
I think Kyle Dorn, I see tuning in. I think he is on a trip out to Iowa. I believe he's purchasing a new property and he is going to be doing all the rehab work himself. So he's going to be on
That's cool.
a trip for I think I saw him put like 3 to 4 months, but yeah, definitely. Hyder did say, yeah, it got very spicy, no cursing, but spicy and emotional. Yeah, he said it was a very good event. He said Zuber's presentation, even though he's heard it many, many times, was probably the presenter that still kind of related to him the most. Talking about the 54-year spreadsheet and just kind of how ORAT was built. So definitely, yeah, I think that's what's great about this community, right? There's a good following there. James Hillis is asking though, would you build new if you can build below replacement cost?
That's impossible. Re- Replacement cost is the cost to build. So, if let's say someone wants to rebuild my 39 unit, if the cost to build it, you'd also have to get the land, but if the cost to rebuild my property was $4 million, in that scenario, you can't build it for less than that. That's the cost it is to build it. So the cost is the cost. Now, if you're doing all of the work yourself and then you get that cost artificially low, then sure, but I'm not a builder. So the idea is if it costs 4 million to build it, which it would cost more to build that product today, but if it did cost 4 million and you could buy it for 3 million, people would have to charge a 33% rental premium, because that's 33% more, to build it and compete with you. So if your cost basis is 3 and their cost basis would be 4, they'd have to charge 33% more to get the same general rate of return. There's a few factors in that, but you get what I'm saying.
Brady says, I get better cash flow in my market with new builds because resales are so expensive. I can build new for 350 or buy resale for 450. Not a hard choice. Hmm. Interesting. And I believe Brady is in Wyoming, so that's interesting take there. Build for 350. But yeah, going back to, like I said, your video that you did put out on Tuesday, I think the big takeaway that people should get from it is kind of, I don't know if you actually mentioned it, but the AI, that's what it kind of created, was kind of about putting your ego aside a little bit for maybe getting a different rent or different cash flow than what you may have hoped or expected initially, right? So that kind of was the big takeaway. And maybe you're kind of talk about that, like your thought process going through that, and how much kind of, when is it time to either lower the rent or maybe take a little bit less, but that whole kind of thought process on that.
I think if you can and you can still make a good return, then you should. If you can build a universe where you can keep rents affordable, I think that's a good thing to do. Most people put themselves in a position where they can't do that. So I am trying my best to keep rents affordable where I can. And right now, that means lowering rents $150 from where they might have been. And some of it just means I'm not doing the rent bumps right now. Just let it ride. But it's all about if you can. If you can't afford to do it, then you might have to hold out a little longer. But you got to look at that cost or the benefits. Like, okay, if I hold out 1 month to get an extra $150, depending on my rent, I may not get it back.
Yeah, I think even in that video, you kind of touched on a little bit, like if you just almost like the first 5 years had no, I mean, I know it's very unrealistic, but kept your rent maybe a little bit lower and had no turnovers or vacancies, right? And you kind of just let the tenants in place kind of pay down your mortgage a little bit for yourself, collect a little bit of rent, and then kind of have things stabilize. Like that, those first 5 years would be a lot different than having to kind of deal with turnovers, deal with vacancies, right? So that's an interesting point too. And I think that's the hardest part when people first get into this, because they've done so much calculations. Like they're saying, like, I should be getting this amount of rent based on the information I have, and that's the, like you said, it goes back to that ego portion, right?
Yeah, you just got to keep things afloat. That's the bottom line. Time will fix a lot, but if you don't have stable cash flow, that's the other thing. When I was pushing my values up very aggressively, as you know, I doubled property values within a year and a half, 2 years, and they weren't like $100,000 properties. They were multi-million-dollar properties that I was doubling these asset values on. I didn't get to pay myself cash flow. You don't get to pay yourself. And I think Matt the Lumberjacks talked about that too. If you're continuing to do the projects, you're not going to pay yourself. It's not real. So if you want to benefit sooner, just let the rents ride a little bit lower. Don't be half of market. That does a disservice to the tenants and to yourself. But don't try and push them super aggressively. Now that I'm not pushing them, I'm $100, $150 below where I could be on most of my units. But most of my units are full. I have income. So
Yeah, I do want to say good morning to Joel, Lending for Entrepreneurs. We'll be on Wednesday live streaming with Delroy, meet the school member in the community. But Joel, I don't know if you followed up, but I sent you a post in school. Someone is looking for financing on a 11 unit, I believe. So I sent you that post. I don't know if you reached out to them, but maybe you can help them find financing for that property.
where is it
But
at?
I can't remember where the property was, but who posted? I'm trying to think who posted it. Man, I can't remember. I gotta look after, but I'll try to look when you're talking. I'll look at it. But there was Flavio said land is expensive in Washington too. And then he had a question. Where did it go? One time you mentioned you want to build affordable rent. Do you think still possible?
Yeah, absolutely. But the answer is not going to be big townhomes. The answer will be smaller units. Build one bed, 1.5 bath, or two bed, 1.5 bath units that are sub 700 square feet. I mean, that's the answer. Single level, have a bathroom that that half bathroom that guests can use, so they're not going into your main bathroom. Like simple things like that. Whether it's a one bed, a two bed, just make smaller units. You can do it. I feel like I'm the king of small, tiny units in Grant County. I've owned hundreds of them, and it's definitely doable to have a two-bedroom in less than 600 square feet.
Man, on it's completely different. But talking about small units, I saw like a reel. I should have saved it, but it had like New York City like apartments, like showing how small these units are.
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
open the door and it's like their kitchen, bedroom, all in this one space, and then so it's pretty wild. I should have downloaded that. But the 11 unit deal is in Indiana. It looks like
Oh,
by Rob Roscoe posted it in school. But yeah, Joe, I sent you that post. I don't know if maybe that you can help them or assist them in finding finance for that property. But if not, Cody also. I don't know. I know someone used a lender that you use also. Alex said he got good results from this certain lender, and I don't know if that person does lending nationwide or just in your market also. But
but Dave wouldn't be a great lender for that scenario because you'd want to go with a more of a commercial, like a local lender. Otherwise, you're just going to get wrecked on the terms.
Hyder says, I know Cal. Oh, no, wait. Where did he put it? Oh, as Cody states, I am artificially lowering the cost with my sweat equity, but it's really just shifting the cost from dollars to calories.
If you don't represent all the costs, then everything looks good. Like if you take your rent out of your monthly budget, you look rich. So if you don't pay yourself for that, it looks like you're doing great. But when you actually build that cost back in, there's probably better deals.
Sorry. Millennial Mike did a video talking about cash flow is a myth until after the building portfolio phase. Cash flow becomes realized once we stop needing it for the next deal.
Yeah, I'm excited to start to enjoy it. This was the first month I paid myself, real like actually paid myself, and I am hopeful that I think I'm gonna get to. I hope I don't have anything crazy that pops up that would stop that. But it was nice. You know, I went from like not paying myself much at all to a very good amount and paid all my bills and my account went up. So that was cool.
Yeah, I think it kind of talk, Dion talks about that kind of hockey stick or even snowball effect kind of thing, right? All of a sudden it just kind of hits, right? So you've been kind of going back and you get paid, but you pay expenses, you pay bills, these things, and then at some point it kind of just all kicks up at one time, and hopefully that is the path, for you going forward. Gus will be tuning. Gus sent me some reels. We'll be covering some stuff tomorrow, live streaming with Gus. He also has a premiere, I believe, coming out. I saw on his channel today. I believe it is at right when we're done here. I think around noon Eastern, will be coming out on his channel. But Gus is saying cash flow is a myth? Question mark. Hmm. I wonder if he's trying to disagree with that maybe a little bit, or wait, or is he saying, yeah? Well, we can touch on
Well,
that.
I would go along the lines of you don't get to really pay yourself day one. I think that would be a myth. Unless you're just paying cash or putting a lot of money down or buying really big deals, you don't get to pay yourself right away. My
Yeah.
first, all of my first properties cash flowed day one. The first one was 700 a month to 800 a month, depending on the month. Second one was like 1250 a month. The third one was like only 600, but that was with no money down. But I wasn't paying myself that. I was just going into a reserve account. And I didn't pay myself from the first property for like 5 years. The second property didn't pay myself for another 5 years because I bought that like 9 months after. So yeah, I just started paying myself out of that second property consistently this month. So
Yeah, I definitely think the cash flow that you think initially is a myth. Like when you kind of run your numbers and you see this certain amount of cash flow when you first get started, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be making this amount, but it's definitely a myth. I think in the beginning until after kind of a certain point your portfolio is at, and I think so. Hyder kind of has this question. He says, "How long has Cody been delaying that cash flow gratification to get to this point?"
well, I started in October of 2019, and my first ever cash flow check. Well, the first one ever was $50. I paid myself $50 out of a zero down duplex. That was with my buddy Christian years ago. But my first real cash flow payment was $600, and that was last year from one property. And last month I paid myself, just out of one property, $4,000. So, and I got more than one property. So like I've been reinvesting everything for 7 years. And what that means is in practical application, people are probably wondering, how do you do that? How do you not pay yourself anything? Well, in the beginning, I had a little bit of income that would help pay for my rent and stuff, doing side jobs here and there. And when I got my first liquidity event, it was on the 39 unit, which was back then the 38 unit. I pulled out 6 figures tax free, and I lived on that. And my account went down every single month until the money was super low. And then I pulled money out of the 12plex, and the account went down. And then I did a flip, and then it'd go up, and then it would go down. And then I'd broker a few deals, and it'd go up, and then it'd go. That was my life for a long time, and it was really painful. And the reason was I was just reinvesting all of the cash flow back into the properties. Could have chosen to not keep scaling, but that wasn't what I was doing. And then I bought the Robinhood Resort, which was out of my lane, and it wasn't a bad deal. It's just the way we structured it was bad with the debt. So then all the cash flow, when I could have paid myself, but back then it probably would have been 8 to 10 grand a month, could have paid myself. Now that's going into the Robinhood to float the debt. So mistakes were made.
Well, we've all made mistakes. I think it's the key is recovering, just like anything, right? We all mistakes fall down at some point, but it's how quickly we can get back up. Gus says cash flow to pay yourself is one thing, but cash flow a myth is a different statement, though.
Absolutely. Cash flows, no matter what you're doing, you could buy a zero income property and you're cash flowing. It's just which way is it going, right? Is the cash flowing in or is it flowing out? Because it's not going to break even. Nothing truly breaks even. If you're breaking even, you're losing money. So you just have to know which way the cash is flowing and know that, yeah, you're going to cash flow one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of and some of that also comes down to, I guess, maybe even what type of landlord you possibly are too, right? You could cash flow on paper, and if you are not doing repairs or deferring a lot of maintenance, then yeah, you're gonna be cash flow positives. But I think definitely it's more the kind of what a lot of people have been sold jumping into real estate in the beginning. This cash flow paying themselves is kind of a myth in the beginning, because there is a lot of these other things that they have to be aware of, and kind of put aside in a sense, because just like even owning your own home, there's always these things to upkeep it. All Nighter Hider says the nuance is that there are two different flows of cash: cash flow to sustain the property and cash flow that goes to hip pocket. National Bank are totally different. Yeah. Flavio is asking if I pay myself from. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still get paid from the fire department, and that's why like my pension is great. So that is also why, like someone like Zuber definitely recommends a lot of people to leverage their W-2, right? Not just don't have to quit your W-2 right away and jump all in real estate, but a lot of people should be leveraging their W-2. And for me though, just where I'm at, I don't actually. It'll be a lot different. I think if I didn't have my son and my parents weren't getting old, then the situation would be a lot different as far as spending money or traveling more often. But right now, it's like I can't just pick up and go a lot of time. Even like last night, my mom took too much Tylenol. I guess she I don't know, she took the wrong pills, and just my mom, she gets anxiety a lot, so she started worrying about taking extra Tylenol. So I knew that at some point I would have to take her to the ER, just knowing her. So I had to call my son's mom and say, "Hey, just pick up our son for now, because I have a feeling I'm gonna have to head down to the ER at some point." And sure enough, my mom, worrying about it, but we made it there, but it was too crowded, so she said, "Let's just go home." But basically, on the way to the ER, she changed her mind about 5 times. She was like, "Let's turn around." I said, "You sure?" She's like, "Oh, never mind. Let's keep going." But basically, changed her mind 5 times on the way there. We got there. There were too many people at the ER, so we came home. So as of now, she's fine. So we'll see. We'll see if she wants to go later or this morning. Um, yep. Lynn says I have paid myself zero from my portfolio. Yeah. So Lynn's definitely in the first 5 years also. Um, yeah, Millennial Mike, I think title was meant to grab attention before he explains the nuances. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so, kind of going back a little bit to your video on Tuesday, I mean, I don't know, speaking of, can't speak on different markets, but I think why is there so much overbuilding? Seems like you're saying in your area. Is it Moses Lake? Is it you're talking about the overbuilding or?
Yeah, Moses Lake's overbuilding, which is interesting. It's because everybody here is making money, which it's a good thing. But if everybody was making money, then everybody feels like they have the Midas touch, and then they're like, "Well, I'm going to just do a little bigger." And so, a buddy of mine built, no partners, built a 96 unit building, and like the 3-story walk up, beautiful campus, 4 buildings, didn't syndicate, just he re-rolled his profits into a bigger deal. And I don't think he's ever going to do that again. But that's one campus in a small town. Someone else, Weston Square, just built another 90 units. And then you have 119 units that are built on Marina Drive in the last few years. You've got hundreds and hundreds of homes amongst Pelican Point. You've got hundreds of homes going up. It's called Maple Landing over by Home Depot. You've got little duplex builders all throughout town, tons of duplexes and quadplexes. There's a 5-plex. It's pretty remarkable. So it's just like everybody's like, let's go. Everybody's making money. Let's go make more money. And then you realize, oh, we're a town of 28,000 people. Maybe building 1,000 units is not the correct way to do it. Now, the best part, why I'm excited, is I'm going to be on the struggle bus for a couple years, and maybe my cash flow from property A will cover the new stuff for a year or two. But once everything stabilizes, which I do believe it will, there's no more land to build. In Moses Lake, you have, like, you're driving through town, you're going from basically Seattle over here to Spokane over here, and this is reversed, so I don't know if it's going to look correct. But you're driving through, and you have the outskirts of town. You go over a bridge, then you're on the peninsula. Well, when I first started investing on the peninsula, you got water all the way around except for one part on the top. When I started investing in Moses Lake 6 years ago, there was a ton of undeveloped land. Now that all this is getting built, there's next to no undeveloped land, which means if you want to own in that specific area, which is a decent area of Moses Lake, you're going to pay for it. So what a lot of my properties are on the peninsula. It's like the center of town. So as it expands out, like that's going to be the core of the market, and no one else will be able to build there unless you tear down the old stuff, which is expensive. So I do believe for long-term appreciation, it's going to pay well to be there. But right now, it's going to be a pill to swallow.
And kind of a little off topic a little bit, but you talking about a lot of these new builds or over construction, and that's kind of keeping rents down or even maybe not, I would want to say declining, but lower. You can see how that would help other markets where people are complaining about rent being so high,
Mm-hmm.
and right, building more homes or more supply helps keep rent down, right? Instead of a lot of this rent control type of things and
Yeah,
limiting stuff, right?
absolutely. If you allow people to build, rents will go down. If now that may skew the numbers for the developer to where they don't do any more development, because if they can't get 1,800, they can only get 1,600. That's going to hurt their financials on a big development. But there's going to be people that build either way. And there's people who have money, and they're
Yeah.
not institutions. So
Flavio does say, when I try to pay myself, an expense shows up. It definitely feels like that a lot of times, right? It's like they know that, or someone knows that when you pay yourself, it's like, oh, this decide to have an expense pop out of nowhere for you. But after a while, it does get a lot easier to navigate. Gus is asking if I can ask Cody if putting money in his pocket to live for a month off the cash flow different than cash flow paying for personal experiences, rent, mortgage, car payments, and etc. Or is he saying,
if you could clarify, I mean, my expenses are pretty low, but like I don't have car payments or anything like that. Don't really have personal debt, but I have some mortgages I want to pay off. So like last month we paid ourselves over 5 figures, which was nice.
Josh Burdick says Spokane area has seen a huge amount of new big multifamily. That's the especially like Hawaii. That's the one challenge, right? Rent's always high. Real estate is high, but our biggest economy driver is tourism, right? So it's also like maybe there is more land available to build, but then it's kind of like we have to keep that land a certain way for the tourists. So it's kind of that it's hard to build too because of those type of things. Oh, and just an update on, I don't know, did I talk to you about that person that was from Washington, support the red, and he threw the rock at the monk
Yeah.
seal. So I don't know if anyone has seen the update. So he was arrested, I think. But his attorney, now his defense or his story is that he was protecting the turtles. So I guess he saw some sea turtles, and I guess in Washington, he's a fisherman also, and I guess there's sea lions maybe more in your area, but the sea lions are violent, I guess, or aggressive. So he thought that the monk seal would be attack the turtles or something, but so that his rock was supposed to scare the monk seal away to protect the turtles. That's kind of his story supposedly. So we'll see how this turns out.
Well, that's a good story.
Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but yeah, that's definitely his defense. Brady Morgan says, "Got to find the next path of progress. Self build and save yourself 15 to 20% on that new home. Better returns." Yeah. Josh Burdick says Moses Lake is where we stop at Starbucks on the way to Seattle.
Yeah, and it looks a lot better than it used to. It's coming along. I still do need to sell at least one property. I have a 1031. I gotta find a buyer.
Brady Morgan said, I don't see a reason to ever go into debt for a vehicle. Ooh, I know, yeah, I know Brandon has a like this calculation. Like I know he put it somewhere. I forgot if he did a video on it, but he had like if it's a I think he had whatever the terms are, it could make sense to finance a vehicle.
I
But
just wouldn't try and make financial sense of a car. Like,
yeah,
if you try and make financial sense of it, you're not going to be happy.
yeah, definitely, oh, that's what I was just same thing off topic, but I saw this page on Instagram, those exotic video or
Uh-huh.
and they have like these special terms or how to acquire these properties or not property but vehicle. Have you ever looked into that? Because I know you're kind of into to vehicles or cars, right?
Yeah. So what they do is they go and buy a car, long term financing, and the thought is you buy it, you drive it for a couple months, and then you sell it, and you can make a little profit that'll pay for your maintenance and your interest carrying cost. And at that point, it's free. But most of the people buying those can't afford to drive them. It's the reason they have to sell them. It's like they get to use it. You might as well have just rented it and thrown your money at investments. Like that's it's a little goofy. I know a lot of people that do that, and I looked into it. It would be nice to drive those cars now, but that whole model is subject to selling it. It's like if you enjoy the car and you have to sell it, like that's a poor business strategy. So I'm just going to keep investing money and delay gratification a little longer, and then maybe buy the car next year.
Hey, I see Caleb on Instagram. He's first responder finance. He says, label the expense my freedom, and it will hurt a lot less. Interesting take. Let's see. Brady said, I've paid cash for all my vehicles. Don't even know what a car loan is like. Can't imagine these folks paying 600, 800 per car. Absolutely. I do think though, I mean, yeah, as much as possible, pay all cash for a vehicle. Um, you don't need the flashiest car. You don't need a new car. Um, but maybe if you have to finance it, right? Because that's I don't know. I'm always if you have to get to a job or right. So it's kind of
Yeah, I
yeah,
financed two vehicles.
yeah.
I financed the SUV and I financed the Tesla, and I mean they weren't good financial decisions, but buying a car is rarely like it's not a financial.
Yeah,
You're not buying it to get rich, so like you're gonna lose money on it. But if you need it, you need it. And I don't subscribe to the drive $1,000 car just because you can own it in cash. Like I don't think that's a good idea. Reliable transportation is worth a lot more than money.
yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what your little bit kind of what your second video was about to kind of getting free things,
Yeah, I mean
but
it's
finding the
absolutely,
value there, right?
yeah. Find things that are worth more than money, and then figure out how to get it to pay for itself.
And then so
Reliable
that
transportation is definitely worth more than money.
absolutely, yeah. But before we can touch on your second video also a little bit, but Delroy, who will be on Wednesday, like I said, meet the school member. He's in Connecticut, but he says, quick question: pros and cons of small multifamilies versus large multifamilies. So I would assume he's talking maybe 4 units and below, and then five and above. I'm thinking.
Financing is easier when you're getting started on the small stuff. Once you're more established, financing is easier on the big stuff. So just depends where you're at. But when you're getting started, yeah, financing is going to be easier for you getting started on the little properties, duplex, triplex, fourplex. And I like the value bump. So you get on the large stuff. So you bump the rent net, you have a net increase above and beyond your expenses, and your value goes up, which is really nice. So you don't get that on the small stuff. It's valued based off of the neighborhood, the comparable sales, You can push that a little bit. You can flex the price up a little bit if you're good at talking to the appraiser, but not a whole lot you can do to justify it other than what's selling and where value is. On the bigger properties, it's really easy to influence value.
So we did have the accountability call this morning from the school community, and one of the individuals that was on, that was kind of a question he posted in school. It wasn't small multis, but he was kind of in at that point where he's almost I think he would have enough to get some sort of single family home right now if it made sense. I mean, so he's already has property. He has a I think a 12 and an 8 unit and whatnot, but at the same time for him to get that next bigger deal or bigger multifamily than a single family home, he'd have to wait a little bit longer to get the capital. So he was kind of like, do I get something now, like a single family home that would make sense for me, or do I wait to get more capital to get something bigger? And then that was kind of where he's at right now. We kind of just brought up also kind of how you might look at it too, is where it seems like his space is the bigger multi unit type stuff, but at the same time you kind of use single family homes to get bigger chunks of capital as far as like a flip um, type of opportunity, right?
Flips have a good place for making money, especially in the beginning. I'd prefer to flip an apartment building over flipping a house, though.
Hey, Mozilla from Instagram is saying, where do you find multifamily deal 5+ units? Any great site aside from LoopNet?
Crexy is a good one. Yeah, you could definitely look there. Lots of opportunities there. CREXI.
And I don't know if it would apply to 5+. I think, but you also mentioned a lot of times, maybe in your earlier videos, about kind of just looking at Google Maps and big roof
Mm-hmm.
sizes, right?
Yep, that's how I got started. I was about my first property from the MLS, and then the following two were from Google Maps. So I mean, I've made so many videos on that over the years, but bigger roofs are more likely to be apartments than smaller roofs.
Yeah.
Seems to still be true.
And then from there, you just reach out, or you reach out to the owner, or try to Google the owner, or
Yeah, you figure out who the owner is based on the tax assessor site, and you find the number on Google. 99% of people, you can find their number on Google pretty quick, and 93.5% of statistics are all made up.
Yasik says, don't forget to enjoy life once in a while. Can't take it with you. Yep, definitely. Well, I think, kind of going back to the car thing a little bit too. And actually, I think Mozilla, I saw a video on his page. He just got his dream car, I believe. I think he put on Instagram. It was this specific Lamborghini. I think it was Lamborghini. It was like before it kind of went to the technology side of things for vehicles. So it's kind of like an not old school, but more of a traditional type of I don't want to say engine, but the type of design of vehicle it was before it got real kind of computerized and things like that. So
That's cool.
definitely very cool. Yeah, he found his dream car, I believe. Um,
Yeah, I'll do that someday.
yeah,
Not
you
yet.
have that picture. I think you showed Zuber too, right? The picture of the vehicle. Did you in your last video?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was last one.
Yeah.
That was probably a long time ago, but yeah, there's a few cars that we will get when I actually have a house. I feel like there's an order of operations. Get a house with a garage, big garage, and then you put the nice vehicles in the garage rather than let them sit outside. I don't feel like it would be appropriate to house hack one of my townhomes next to however many tenants with a 911 just sitting there.
That'd be wild.
I've
uh,
seen that though. I looked at buying some apartments over in Tulsa, and the owner lived on site, sold drugs, and drove up in a purple Lamborghini.
but yeah, so let's get into your second video a little bit. You kind of so you have a new camera, right? To do
Yeah, it's
and
over
how,
there
yeah, and
somewhere.
how did you kind of justify? I know you got it. I don't want to say free, but how did you justify getting a new camera? I guess in a sense.
Every time I you get videos or photos taken of a unit, I spend like $300. So my thought was, if I do a few video shoots, I do three, it's paid for, and then some. And now I get to use it for YouTube, and so it's just a little upgrade. I mean, it's not like it's going to make me any actual money, but it saves me money taking videos of the interiors of the units, so that's nice. And it gives a little higher quality for the YouTube channel, so that's also nice. But I just justified it as I would have spent this money on interior shots anyway. I might as well just get something so I can do it myself.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I think a lot of people need to realize that there's so much opportunities out there, right? If you use a certain product or use a certain, there's so much opportunities to get some sort of, you know, either income or side hustle from it, or just anything you use. I mean, even you look at like Zuber, right? He talks about steadily quite a bit, and he uses steadily, and he talks about how much it saved him on certain property, not all the time, but how it saved him a certain amount of times. And then they sponsor, I believe, the daily financial morning channel. So it's like just things like that. Anything you use out there, you can always try to see if there's any way to generate some income from that. Hey, Harrison is here. Trade Better 99. Yasik says you would look like a drug dealer if you did that, Cody. Pulling up.
Oh yeah, that would be something. And I don't know that they'd want to rent for me. Pull up in that. That's probably not the best. That guy was a drug dealer. Coincidence.
So what I've been doing also too, and even Zuber's been doing a lot of reaction videos. I also realize now that I have to remove the background noise from a lot of these clips because my last few videos have been flagged on YouTube as copyrighted or copyright infractions. So I do want to share a few videos and just get Cody's thoughts on them, short clips. But because I know part of your story, and I haven't heard you talk too much about it recently. But part of, I believe, was it to buy your mom a home or pay off the property she had?
We walked a few properties, and she didn't want to move at that time, and her home mortgage is at like 2.25%. So that goal just adjusted a little bit because why would you pay that off early? So now it's just figuring out how to optimize for her to enjoy a great retirement.
Yeah, and that was kind of the vision, right? But so Fat Gwyn came out with a clip recently, so I'm gonna just throw it on the screen real quick.
$6 million, and I couldn't save my dad's life. He gave me this piece of paper, and it says cancer. And I said to him, I got the money. We'll do whatever it takes to save you. I took my dad to go get chemo. Every time we go to chemo, they had to find a vein in his body to plug it in. He got into the hundreds, low hundreds, there was no more vein left. And every time they had to go find a vein, it just agony for him. It was our home, our mom's house, and the hospital says, you should get all your brother, sister, your dad's probably gonna leave tonight. Everybody was there, and my dad is getting late at night, and he's still alive. And I said to him, you've done a lot for us already. Wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have a lot of money. And I know you're thinking and worrying who's gonna take care of mom and the siblings. And I want you to know, I got you covered. I was holding his hand, and then he passed away. He just needed to hear it.
Yeah. So you have any kind of thoughts on that? I mean, it just kind of,
It's great that he was there,
yeah.
not dying alone. I mean, that was a wonderful thing for him to be able to do.
But I mean, is that so? For me too, it's kind of not generational wealth is really what I'm striving for, but it's kind of just like making sure my son has something. Something did happen to me. My son's mom
Mm-hmm.
will be okay to take care of him and these type of things, and so it's very eye opening to a lot of what people's why is, and even Gus talks about it. Sometimes me and Gus go back and forth about what is his end goal, but Gus is trying to build this generational wealth for his family. But there's always different reasons, and I think, like you said, I know you talked about it too, like your mom, right? That was kind of the first initial vision on what you wanted to do, pay off her home or get her a different
Mhm.
property. But I mean, like for you, like what is, is there that whole big generational wealth too, or is it kind of just to, make sure everything is taken care of in a sense?
I want to make sure everything's taken care of for sure. What's interesting though is if I died today, my family would be burdened by a lot of crap, which sucks. So, like, I don't know if you've thought about that. Like, what happens if I die today? Is everything worked out the way it should be? The answer for me is no, which is terrible. I mean, they'd figure it out, I guess, but some properties would definitely get lost and some notes would definitely be a pain point. And it's like, I'm working on that. So, part of what I'm doing is building out the systems now so that what I have could be transferred on and then just, hope that statistics work and I don't die today. Like there's a little bit of that hope model, and hope's a bad business model. I've been saying that for a long time. So I got to get stuff figured out, but I think that's important for people to think about. It's like, did what you build get you what you want? If you pass away, it's like right now the answer is no. It works while I'm alive. It doesn't work if I'm dead. So now I'm working on transitioning some of the old stuff 1031, even if it means sell at a discount to someone to get them their return, put it into the new stuff, and then figure out the management system so that's not a burden. Because I don't think anybody in my family could effectively manage the old properties from a distance.
Absolutely. And I think that was a very even like Zuber when he spoke with Mark Ferguson's wife from Invest for More, who suddenly passed away last year, unfortunately, and then the wife was put in this situation of trying to navigate through the portfolio, and like you said, it works when you're here, kind of thing, and unfortunately, maybe if something was to happen, then now can the portfolio kind of be easily managed or taken care of. I do see Harrison. Harrison is kind of going back to you getting that camera, or just he says, Cody, have you thought about building a studio for your YouTube channel for tax write-off purposes?
No, I'm not a YouTuber.
What do you mean you're not a
I'm
YouTuber?
just a real estate guy. I just post videos. I don't put any effort or thought into it. I just take the video, whatever's happening, and then I hit post and I don't watch it. Like,
So that to that he puts out 2 videos a week, Tuesday and Thursday, a video on his channel. He records with Michael Zuber on Wednesday, and he also live streams with Justin Camera on Wednesdays. So definitely go check that out, everyone. But Harrison, if people don't know, Harrison had cancer, so he said, I chose to get a port in my chest for chemo. I was told I would destroy my veins and have long-term damage, and that's to some extent. If people don't know Harrison's story, he kind of started going down the real estate path a little bit more, because he thought it would be easier if something was to happen to him, then his family would have a kind of a easier time taking over this asset than if he was trading in the stock market and doing these type of things. So that's kind of why he went down the real estate path, so that hopefully it would be an easy trend if something was to happen to him, unfortunately. Hyder does say that's why wasted talent and ambition suck so much. Don't embrace that suck less. Hey, Kenny's here. Good morning. Gus says to the biggest thing I heard Thatch said, he was able to tell his father, I will be able to take care of the family with financing and filling in the spot for his father left. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure the father was, like you said, is like he said, good thing, it be people around him when he passed, but at the same time, I'm sure it put him at ease knowing that um, Thatch would be there to take care of the mom and take care of the rest of the family, right? I think that was a good way. Hey, Coach Nick is here. Weekly Bitcoin wrap up, and we did announce on Saturday that Cody did announce that he sold his Bitcoin. So now, not financial advice, but he's saying that is the time to get in now. If Cody has sold it, It is time to get into
Well,
Bitcoin.
all I'm saying is when I buy it, it
Yeah.
always goes down. So
Hey, Mozilla on Instagram is asking, do you utilize the Burr strategy to keep recycling the same money?
yeah, I've definitely used the Burr. I mean, I'll give you a couple examples. I bought a place for 680. I'm into it for probably 880. Put 200 grand into it. I have a loan on it for $1 million. 25-year AM, 6% or no, 5.95. I guess same thing. 6% interest, and it's 10-year fixed. So I'm not worried about it. And the cash flow pays for it. I pulled all the money out and then some. The money I pulled out of that, I bought a 15 unit. Bought a 39 unit for 2 million. I got a loan on it right now for 2.5 million. So like I pulled all the money out of that, and it's still cash flows. So yeah, I've done the Burr a bunch of times. I've done Burr on small properties, big properties. I got a little 8 unit that I'm pulling money out of right now. Bought it for all in 480, getting a loan on it for 5.25. So 525. Got a property I bought all in 150. I'm getting a loan on it right now for 270. But it's about you got to create enough value to justify that. Doesn't matter what you paid.
I see Ryan Isaac 0113 coming from your channel. They are saying having a system is better than not, even if it's not the ideal system.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
And Ryan also says, what's Jim Cramer saying about Bitcoin? Take his opinions and go against it for big wins. Yes, not financial advice, but definitely I see that all over social media every time. Mozilla on Instagram also says, same for Welby. When his dad passed a few weeks ago, he was able to take care of his mom and all the bills. Unfortunately, bills don't stop. Yeah, definitely. And that, to that point, I know a lot of people do maybe like that paid off home strategy and security. But to Mozilla's point, right? The property taxes don't end. I mean, I guess you could say insurance ends, but typically you want to keep insurance on the property. But yeah, bills still keep coming in, right? So a paid off home is nice, but you just got to also keep in mind that expenses don't go away with a paid off home, right? Flavio said Ryan is his neighbor, he said. So I guess they're in Washington also. Brady says, I wrote my book to teach my 6-year-old son everything I know in case something happens to me before I finish my plan. Leaving money and income is great, but the knowledge is priceless. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to say today, Cody? I gotta go see if I gotta go to the ER today. I gotta go check.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't. I
You
don't know. I'm sure she's fine. It's just knowing her, I knew I would have to probably take her, and that's why I told our son's mom, to pick up our son, because I was like, I don't want to have to go in the middle of the night and then then I gotta scramble to get my son somewhere. So.
Next week, I have a feeling we're going to talk about mistakes. I just hit upload. It's going to upload tomorrow. But
okay.
I recorded a video while I was at my property yesterday because I was there and I had my camera.
And the cool thing is, you didn't even know if the mic. You just said, I hit record. I don't know if any of this is working, right? I think your mic and everything. You're like,
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully it works. But I just filmed the video yesterday talking about a mistake where I basically spent 25 grand remodeling a unit, which was stupid. I used the wrong contractor. I didn't see it during or after, before, during, or after. Basically, it was fully remote. Hired someone on the spot. I'm so glad I did it, but I learned a lot.
That's
but I
all
posted about that.
Right?
That'll go tomorrow.
Cool. We'll definitely take a look at that. We'll break that down. Hyder says, yeah, Kramer has a very strong reputation as a contrarian indicator. Not the kind of reputation I would ever want. Yeah. Just noticed Cody's shirt. I'll be there in just a few weeks. Ah, yeah. I think so. I believe it's not a vacation or trip for you, Hyder. You are going to work, right? I think he works the fishing boats out there. So I forget how many weeks at a time he goes the canneries he goes up for, but definitely cool. Any final words, Cody? Are you streaming live this Wednesday with Justin? Is that the plan?
Should be.
Ah, Gus, you got to make a T-shirt for that. Gus says, "I call contractors contractors." That should
Yeah,
be on the shirt.
I could have gotten that same unit turned for probably $8,000 today. 25 grand a unit's a joke.
Yeah, that's. But I saw you tune in too. What'd you think of the Dion and Lumberjack back and forth about stocks versus real estate?
No, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
we all know we all know where the best returns are if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but I'm just Dion knows how to push Matt's buttons, and Dion already also warns Matt, "I'm going to push your buttons," and Matt still gets riled up. But it's very entertaining, definitely.
Oh yeah, I think we all know that real estate has better long-term returns if you use debt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I personally only. Yeah, absolutely. As a contractor, I know if I'm leaving a worthy job or not. There's no excuses, in my opinion, Hyder says. All right. Yeah, great episode. Always fun catching up with you, Cody. We're gonna love to dig into this mistake that you're gonna have a video. So everyone look out for that video tomorrow. And like I said, I believe Gus, I saw, unless I saw something incorrectly, I believe he's having a premiere video come out probably in about a few minutes. So go be on the lookout for Gus's, I think he called it overtime or something, because he has the Behind the Doors podcast. I know Justin Camera was on it recently. It will be out soon, but he is having a premiere video coming out soon. So everyone take a look for that, subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with Gus. So we'll be digging into some clips and reels tomorrow also. Cody, thanks for always doing this every week. And everyone have a good start to your week. Thanks, everyone.